There is a lot to say about this movie, and there's no way to cover it all. On the one hand, I'm going to join the bandwagon that says that this could have been better. On the other hand, it's pretty good. Unlike every other movie in the Ghostbusters franchise, this movie felt more like a pilot episode to a television series than a standalone story. This isn't to say that the other movies weren't a part of continuing stories. I think the easiest to contrast in this regard is the first Ghostbusters movie. There is a sense in which the real Ghostbusters cartoon really did use the first Ghostbusters movie as its pilot episode, but Gozer and the events of that movie rarely get referenced in the series. When they are referenced, it's just in passing, and not in the sense of continuing something that happened there. With the very small exception of the episode Citizen Ghost, which addresses this gulf between the movie and the series directly. This isn't much of a surprise. Gozer is gone at the end of the movie. If Gozer came back at the beginning of each episode of the real Ghostbusters and was vanquished by the end of a half hour, it wouldn't take long for Gozer to stop feeling like a god to be feared and more like an inconvenience. This movie ends differently, though. The containment unit has been opened, and we see the very same ghost that they captured at the beginning of the movie chasing Slimer down the street. This could easily be a setup for the Spengler family to start hunting down the ghosts that the original crew had captured and hunting them down to put them into the new containment unit. Having a series that spins from here into a Creature of the Week episodic, like the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo or the Lilo and Stitch series. One important difference would be that the Ghostbusters would be busting a combination of escaped, known entities and new, unexpected foes. Such an endeavor would only be possible because of my favorite original Ghostbuster, though. Winston Zeddemore was a character that was criminally underused in the first two movies. He was my favorite in the real Ghostbusters cartoon series, though. Ray was too childish to take seriously. Egon was a stick in the mud. Peter was a walking vice list. But Winston was the son of a construction worker, grew up working class, and didn't have a doctorate. He was kinda like me, but in New York. Whenever I would see a Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters 2 poster or advertisement without Winston, I felt like it was incomplete. So there was something satisfying about seeing Winston elevated to a captain of industry, paving the way for Ray to continue his ghostly investigation hobbies, giving the Spengler family a place to live and supporting their expenses as they carried on the Ghostbusters legacy. Ghostbusting, as it exists in 2023, depends on Winston Zeddemore every bit as much or more than any other character. I was a little sad that the character wasn't fleshed out a little more. But only a little. I think a better subtitle for this movie would have been The Dr. Ray and Phoebe Show, instead of Frozen Empire. More time and script is put into following Ray and Phoebe as they investigate Garaka than the actual efforts to defeat Garaka. That's definitely not a complaint. I enjoyed seeing what Ray has become in his old age, and what Phoebe is becoming as she matures. If this really does spin off a series, or even another movie, I hope that the next movie can put as much effort into exploring other characters. Winston mentoring and inspiring Trevor would be an interesting take, especially given some of the lines that Trevor had in this movie. Overall, I felt like this movie shows that the team behind these movies listened to the fans. Slimmer's absence was felt in Afterlife, and bringing him back felt like coming home. The Ghostbusters in some little town in the middle of nowhere isn't really the Ghostbusters, and bringing them back to the New York firehouse felt like seeing an old friend. The new equipment, including the gunner seat and mobile traps, were awesome, and I'm so glad they didn't downgrade them. Puppets and not CGI is what made the original movies so iconic, and I'm so glad they didn't upgrade that. If anything, I felt like there might have been too much listening to us, and maybe if they hadn't been so afraid of offending me, they could have really impressed me. Even at that, this movie was a lot of fun and I highly recommend it.